Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right, I'm back in action. Back in action is in we now gotten past the funeral and the stages of things that had to happen in order for that to go well. And now, kind of getting back to life for myself, what life has been. So I gotta go down to the police station, get the cash for Saturday morning, since my uncle sent the wiring early. And I told him I wanted to hang out with him, so I don't know if I'm gonna find a way to do that today. I did my laundry a little earlier, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm kind of exhausted, to be honest with you. But you know, he's gonna be in town only until tomorrow, and I ain't gonna be able to do anything tomorrow. I didn't realize that when I suggested for us to hang out before he leaves, but the only day I could do it was today, and I needed to do laundry. I hadn't done laundry in over a week, so I took care of that. But now I'm in a space where I'm like, I'm tired. I'm really exhausted. These last 5 days or so have taken a lot out of me, and even though I'd gotten some sleep, apparently not enough. So I just would love to hang out with him, but the trip home was a little much last night. From the train station, I'd probably have to take that trip on the train to him, and on the way back, I'm just honestly not up for it right now. To be honest with you all, I'm just not. I'm a little too tired to really do that. But I was barely up for walking down the street right now, but I figured the way I've been eating these last couple of days, a lot of the exhaustion probably has something to do with the turn of the different direction in regards to the condition. And so getting this walk in, I thought probably would rejuvenate me. By the time I walk back, I'll probably feel more energetic than I do right now. So that's what this is about. This is me. I could have very easily taken care of this a different, probably on Saturday, you know. Could very well have done that on the way back. But since he put it in today, I figured, hey, let's go pick that up. Let's get that out the way now, bring it back, and then I don't even have to worry about it tomorrow. Tomorrow, hanging out with my uncle will be impossible because Sun Valley is nowhere near a train station. You got to take like 3 buses, I think, to get back to the motel that I would be spending the night in. And so that means that after I get off the train, I still got a very long way to go home. A much longer way than I did yesterday. So I definitely would not be able to do that unless I was getting a ride back. So I don't think he'd want to give me a ride back. And so that's why I have to say I don't have availability tomorrow. Like I should have had that in mind, but I didn't. So it was my idea, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. So I was told him I hope I can see him before we leave. Before he leaves on Saturday morning. But now that we're in Thursday afternoon, I just don't see a path to that right now, unless I'm getting rides, you know. That's really what it comes down to, and I don't want to commit nobody to that or suggest anybody do that. So yeah, man, I had a great time with my uncle, man. It's too bad he's not staying a little longer, but you know, he's got to get back home. And now that my grandfather is with the Lord, I'm pretty sure he's going to spend more time out here going forward. So I look forward to seeing him rather soon if it's something that he's able to do. I think it will be because my aunt, his wife, has some people here who are not doing great in health. So I think the focus now shifts to her family and the needs there. So that's just the life there for them right now. And you know, I think they'll spend more time in this area because of it. So I hope that's what it is. Not for the reasons said, but I hope they're able to make it out here very soon. And in that event, I'll be happy to see them. So, hey puppy, what are you doing in the street? Hey. Yeah, let's get over here. Now he's gonna follow me. But anyway, yeah, man. So that's really what it is, man. I'm just very thankful how everything went, and you know, moving forward from anything that otherwise made me frustrated about this, how things kind of were with the eulogy. I don't particularly harbor bad thoughts right now. I got all that out of my system. It's behind us. How you doing, sir? And that's really what it was. I just now want to move forward in a way that establishes what I have to do in my own life. So I set up the everything I needed to set up to make sure I'm moving out of the room. Took care of that, suitcase stuff, everything that had to go in the suitcases in there. All the stuff that's going to be going that I have to wear over the next 2 days is now set aside, just like always, preparing myself to get out of the room. And it's just don't get a chance to really relax, because that's just how the week has been structured, man. And so when you're really systematic like I am, you get up the same day every day, you go to sleep the same time, whatever, and then you have a couple of days out of your week to start your week where you're getting up significantly earlier and going to sleep late. It's just, and then riding, and it's just been a lot of mental exhaustion for me, and physical exhaustion to go with it. So I'm trying to keep up with everything. Haven't done any art. I did cipher through some music today, but it's near the end of the year, so not a whole lot has been dropped. And that's to be expected after doing this for several years. I can tell you it's always like this every end of December, early January. Music don't start rolling in until probably around February when you start seeing people drop or whatever. But found a few things I think I can make a playlist out of, but just trying to find time for everything, keeping up with the Lakers schedule. I'm very thankful that the Lakers schedule is not as condensed as it was earlier on in the month, which also kind of catered to probably the long-term effects of the fatigue that I'm feeling right now. Just trying to keep up with them and everything, but they don't play tonight, they don't play tomorrow, so I get a little more of a break there, and I really need it to be honest. So yeah, man, I now just gonna walk down to this police station, but there's some things going on, man. First of all, the Gaza situation is always what I like to bring my attention to, man. I don't think my uncle and my aunt share my vision on that. We didn't talk too much about it, but I just think they're in a different space. They're military people raised by the flag is supposed to be most important in a lot of cases, and they really subscribe to that. So I it's one of those situations where in every family and every culture, you may find some people that are on the opposite end of the values that you hold, or what you feel is moral, or what have you. And my uncle and myself are from very different places. I wasn't militarized at all. I was raised by somebody who was raised around Black Panthers. We value freedom fighting and things of that nature. My uncle was not raised in that world. And I want people to understand, like, if you do homework on my family, you may not find the values I hold. That's just the truth. My uncle and my aunt have been to Israel. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't know what they know. And like I said, I'm not here to make assumptions, but it's just with what it is I've learned. I would never step foot in that place ever until Palestine is free, unless I'm giving my life to save some people who are ultimately being done wrong the way that they have been. The only reason why I'm going there is just to die. Like, literally, I'm going there to save some babies. Otherwise, I ain't got no business there. None. And I'm telling y'all the truth. And I'm not a soldier. I wasn't trained for that. But like, only thing you can get me to do to get to go there is try to save some people. Save some Palestinian people. That's literally the only reason why any American I feel should even be there right now. And I don't think a lot of people feel that way, but with the stuff that I'm hearing right now, I just heard that 4 babies froze to death last night in their tent because it was too cold, and obviously there's nothing to warm them. And I heard that 5 people who happened to be journalists were bombed in their van, and by way of the type of bomb that was used, incinerated alive. They got these smart bombs that they don't look to just do certain, just blow stuff up. They look to do very specific things. And this one they used on that van was meant to target it, target the target, and then burn it to a crisp. And so the way it was set up is that the impact was obviously enough to kill, but just in case you survived it, you're gonna burn. And so like that's what they did to these journalists, who were ultimately where they were to pay respects for people who had just passed away, some artists who had just passed away earlier that day, Christmas Day. So it's like, this is what Israel's up to, man. This is the kind of stuff they're doing right now for Christmas. This is what they're doing to people in the birthplace of Jesus Christ. And I don't have the privilege of pretending like I'm not aware or affected by that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the privilege. I've seen it all. I've seen actual footage. I've seen actual people dying. I've been tapped into this thing for over a year now. So a lot of the stuff that people who are not paying attention to this believe, and things that they've been told and things that they've been raised to think in regards to Israel and this and that, I don't have the privilege of buying into it or looking at it the way that you were taught to. I don't have that privilege. I've been seeing what they've actually been doing, and that's what I've been shown more of than any of the propaganda or otherwise heraldings of Israel. I wasn't really familiar with Israel. I wouldn't even been able to tell you where Israel was on the map until the genocide. So now that I'm aware of the genocide, that's the only thing I really know of them, is the evil that they do, and the upholding of racist apartheid, and really ridiculously and torturous practices upon people who are of color in that area, in that section, and the stealing of their land, and you know, and the buying off and paying for support that they've received. I saw that they had bought off some brother. He said he had been in Israel for 5 days and he didn't see none of that racism we're talking about. I'm like, well, I mean, that's fortunate enough for you, but I saw the footage of them spitting in a little black boy's face, so I really don't know if you saw that footage or not, but you know, that's who you capping for, I'll tell you that. You know, a lot of Christian people believe that Israel is a place where Christianity is upheld, and people hate Christians. I've seen so much footage of them beating up on Christian people, it ain't even funny. Telling Christian people who go there to celebrate them to go home because they don't respect them and they don't like them. They're idol worshippers, and they loathe them. Like, so this is what my experience is with Israel. I wasn't taught to respect Israel. I looked over at Israel after I was told they were doing some bad things and saw those bad things. That's literally it. That's all. That's my experience with Israel. So for those who look at me and say, oh, you're a radical, I tell you, nope. I just know some things that you need to know, and you need to learn what those things are. And if you know what those things are and you still don't care, then you're part of the problem. That's literally it. You know, I saw some footage of this lady representing Israel, essentially saying that because the person who was talking about what was going on there had a brand new iPhone, that there was no experience that he's talking about that holds any merit. Because of that, the fact that he's able to speak to everyone who's talking about in regards to the wrongdoings going on there, because he had an expensive phone, none of the things that ultimately he's talking about held any merit. That's essentially what the argument was, because he had a phone. Like, it's the type of stuff, like, this is what they're trying to sell to people. Like, they can't, Israel's obviously not starving individuals, because look at this guy who's telling everybody that Israel's starving individuals. He has an expensive phone. Like, it doesn't take much to see all of the different things around this situation that prove the ridiculousness of supporting them and as they engage in this. If you look at all the people that support Israel, a good portion of them have horrible things to say, horrible energy to engage in, a lack of poof, a viciousness about them, or a mental illness that ultimately speaks to this support of suffering. Demonic people, people who worship the devil, those are the ones who, Nazis, supporters, those are the individuals who are really supporting Israel right now. Like, if you just look around in a situation, like, who's supporting them? People who are talking about, I hope you get R-worded, I hope, like, these are the type of people who are supporting this movement. Not civilized individuals that are looking for goodness in life. No. The majority of people who are supporting this are the most demented of us. That's a clue right there that you probably shouldn't be supporting Israel. If all the bullies, the bad guys, the monsters, and the crazies are supporting them, that's a clue right there, buddy. Racists, people who don't give a damn about anybody else in other areas of their lives, they support Israel. It's like, that should tell you something. And all the people who are saying, I love the world, I want to see people survive, I want to see life carry forward, those are the people who are supporting Palestine. That should tell you something. People who make good points about circumstances, like, look at the evidence of this I've seen. This is what it is. Here, take a look at this evidence. And look at some more evidence. Those are the people who are supporting Palestine. People who are holding receipts. And then you got people who are supporting Israel, essentially saying, well, because this guy has an expensive phone, obviously Israel's not doing anything to anybody. The point that they try to make to uphold the nonsense should tell you what side you should be supporting, what side you should not. But people would rather not believe that the stuff that they've been taught all their lives, that they fought and died for in a lot of cases, or that they blood, sweat, and tears that they poured into for so many years, the people they've trusted, people who raised them, have taught them lies, or were not able to see through the lies that were placed upon their skulls, and they pass it on to people they love. But we have to understand that that's the crux of a lot of what is going on in this land. How you've been able to convince people that they should all be in a space where something was literally horribly done in order for it to happen, and they should not feel nothing for it. That they should take less even though they're doing more work. You have to be fed some bullcrap. You have to be told something isn't what it is, and that you should believe them over that for which your mind provides you in critical thinking, in order to buy into the American dream, the capitalistic Western world dream. That Jews are above reproach and white is right. And anybody stands up for black people is probably performative or looking to virtue signal and some type of negative connotation upon the word woke. I mean, like, yeah, a lot of it is performative. A lot of people who say they stand for Black Lives Matter don't think that Black lives very much matter. If anything, they only care about the way they're seen in the eyes of those they're trying to leverage themselves against in whatever way they are. That's really what it is for a lot of people, but that ain't the only energy behind all of these pro-life or not pro-life, I don't know if that's the right word, but the supporting of people not suffering movements is what I'm trying to say. And supporting of people not suffering movements. People who don't want to see babies freeze to death on Christmas Day in the birthplace of Christmas, of Christ. Right? And they say these people are radical or unreasonable or anti-Semitic or something like that. Like, for those of us who don't believe that Jewish people, Zionists, are above reproach, we're automatically anti-Semitic, because in order to be pro-Israel or pro-Jew, you have to be of the mindset that they're above reproach. As for what would be allowing of them to kill children, slaughter journalists for exposing the fact that they're trying to kill children. Weapons experimentation and testing out on human flesh. Psychological warfare tactics tested out on human beings. Like, this is the crap that they're doing. If you support that, then of course you're right there with them. If you're not aware of that and you support that, then maybe you should do some listening. And if you don't support that, then obviously if you let them tell the story, you're a radical, you're a bad guy, you're performative, and ultimately you're a bleeding heart that ultimately is going to deteriorate our sophisticated land, and everything that we do is at risk because of you, as if the karma doesn't take care of that. As if all the stuff that they do won't come back on them. It's the blame. To blame is to the people they held accountable, who hold them accountable rather for these actions. Those are the people who are to blame for whatever wrong happens, not them for engaging in stuff that shouldn't happen. And so it's like, I mean, I have to buy into all of that in order to effectively, align with everybody who's here, who thinks that way, who runs this country or what have you. I got to align with the idea that my own people are my enemy, not the people who are leveraging themselves against literally everybody in one way or another, who've been putting propaganda in the Kool-Aid for generations at a time, selling us stuff that doesn't make us better human beings toward one another, but more so better equipped to be workers for the mission that they have to be as wealthy as possible. I just know better. I think a good portion of my generation knows better. We've unearthed the truth about those who've been telling you what it is that you believe. They're liars. They're bought and paid for. Demonic. Not to be trusted. Your media has for many years lied to you about who's around you and who's away from you, telling you not to trust yourself and your own instincts, but more so to trust them as they continue to push fear onto your heads for generations at a time. And a lot of people are afraid to believe that as they go forward in life. But they got to respect that they're from a world where they couldn't see things in real time. They had to get information from a third party. They had to trust somebody else in order to get the truth. I'm from a world where there was a camera and pointed at the circumstances that ultimately people lied to you about. That's what I would say to all my elders. You didn't have video proof of all the stuff that was going on that ultimately you were told about. You got to understand that we do. So while you think there's something wrong with us, we are telling you that they did something to you. And we have proof. And so that's what I want people to understand, man. That's what is actually going on there. A lot of us believe that we're supposed to support the allies of our country. The allies of your country is yourself. And the truth that you're willing to tell about the transgressions and the triumphs of the people in your country. And if you can't hold yourself accountable, if you don't see the fruit in holding yourself accountable to do that, then you will perpetuate the problem that ultimately carries forward in regards to the reputation of said country. The world's got a camera to all your transgressions in 2024. You don't get the privilege of believing lies anymore. You don't get the privilege of listening to people who are bought and paid for tell you lies and then walk away as if those lies are true. We have the footage. We're telling you. And that you've been listening to these people for many, many years does not change the fact that they've been telling you lies for many, many years about their intentions, about who they are, and about who you should trust in regards to your own moral compass. They've been lying to you for a long time. Maybe you have some healing to do in regards to being able to absorb that. Maybe you have some guilt to absorb, but it ain't your fault. You didn't know any better. They made sure of it. They taught you how to worship the flag, live and die for the flag. They didn't tell you that it was never within your best interest that you do so. They guilt tripped you severely with propaganda. They guilt trip you severely with the culture of holding other people accountable for not upholding the same thing that they ultimately demand that you uphold. But they never gave you any type of reason for why, other than it's just what we do. But the reason was because that's what they needed in order to have the support for the evil that they do. They needed you not to be outraged at the behaviors that they were carrying on outside of this country, trying to build wealth for this country in nefarious and cheating ways. They needed you to go over there and do their bidding without asking any questions. So of course the culture of upholding that needed to be on your skull, and that of your grandparents and your great-grandparents. They needed you to fall in line so they can get things done. They need you to help them do it with your genius and with your ability and with your willingness to die and kill for them. It was mental, what's the word? Abuse that they placed upon the mind of their own citizens. So we carried out their intentions without asking too many questions. It is okay to not be okay with what Israel's doing in Palestine, for what Israel and others are doing in the Congo, for what they are doing in Sudan. It's completely, especially if you're a person of color, normal for you to be outraged by that. They've taught you how not to be. They've taught you how to stay in line, be comfortable with it, take what you've been given, swallow your medicine, trust them, and live comfy in the presence of all of the hypocrisy. But the reality is, it was always fine to be sick about those behaviors. It was okay to be ill at the sight of dead people in other countries. You don't have to be just outraged at your own people's sufferings, but that of other people, it's okay to be unhappy with those realities. And this country has told you that you're wrong for that, or that you're weird for that, or that it's fine because those people are so horrible and they hate you, and it's very important that you be afraid of them or be aggressive toward them so that they don't enact the aggression that ultimately they have in their heart pointed at you. But the reality is, aggression is an action. It's not an idea. Look around you. They haven't hurt you. Look at what the footage shows. You've been hurting them. Who should be afraid of who, and who should be aggressive in defense of what? And if you're too busy wrapped up in the ideals of believing those who've been telling you lies for a long time, because that's what you've always listened to, then you're not going to be able to see the truth about whether or not it makes sense for you in the long run, who wants to be a good person, to continue to uphold the sufferings of others based on the idea that aggression is coming. I'm sorry. When there was no cell phones and footage of all of the atrocities, you could tell yourself that you're doing the right thing for listening to the people next to you telling you it's your duty to uphold the idea of an Israel free of Palestinian aggression. But when you look at what the footage tells you, there is no Palestinian aggression. If you look at what I've been paying attention to for the last year and some change, you would understand that it is the liars who are ultimately telling the story. And they control a lot of what goes on in your world. Now, if you're afraid because of that truth, then they will continue to be strong in the presence of that, and they will get worse and worse, and they will dilute your freedoms further and further the more you continue to yield and bow and bend over for them. They're not going to uphold your freedom and your values and your ability to self-determination. That's not how they treat people they have their foot on. That's what this is showing all of us. So if you continue to bend for them, they're going to continue to thrust in you. That's literally it. And that's not a very good picture that I just painted, but nor is the action, the aggression, and the realities that are taking place. Showing us the example of what it is they're capable of, showing us the example of what it is they enjoy most, showing us the example of what they do to people that they can do it too. And if you continue to show them that you have no resistance to the evil that they do, they're going to point it at you. That's how world domination works. That's the essence of what it is, to be able to do whatever, however, without reproach. To be able to teach one another that there's no reason for them to ever worry about being held accountable, because they got that under control based on the mental hijacking of your brain and that of the people around you. I tell you, man, we got to grow. We got to grow. We can't continue to let those who want to hurt others turn around and hurt us blatantly and disrespectfully in these type of ways that they're doing to the Palestinian people. You got to put it into it before it reaches your doorstep. Because by the time it reaches your doorstep, it is much, much too late. I've been saying this on my channel for over a year now. I'm not afraid. I'm not ashamed. I'm not confused. And I'm definitely not amused. I want to see a free Palestine, because free Palestine represents the end of that for which is looking to dominate the globe. Find leverage in the ability to discard as many human beings that they can, especially that for those who look tan, I'm telling you. There's nothing wrong with standing up against that. There's nothing wrong with giving your life to try to protect your people. There's nothing wrong with being anti them as they do those things. There's nothing more justified in regards to it, such energy. And there's nothing more noble in regards to being pointed at someone in that way than to see them engage in an energy that discards of human life and not being okay with it. People are not okay with people for reasons that don't have nothing to do with killing babies. But when it comes to killing babies, you're fine with those who are doing it. And if they honestly give that some thought, they'll realize how backwards that is, no matter what they subscribe to that allows for them to think that way. Israel is proving every single day to many, many of us who are paying attention that they are the devils walking the earth. And there are people who believe in Christ who are essentially allowing them to be those devils because they're afraid of them, because they were raised to trust them and don't want to hear nothing that would otherwise betray that for which has been put in their ears for so long. Because if they have to question that, then they got to question themselves. They got to question who told them that. They got to question the people who love them, who taught them that. They got to undo everything, and they're lost. And that sense of lost disrupts the ego, and that ego keeps them motivated to continue going in this constipated land, this contradictory system that ultimately makes this thing keep going. Some of these people are not strong enough within the space of the truth to both absorb the truth and keep going. A lot of these people are going to want to put bullets in their own skulls once they realize the truth and what it is they upheld and how ridiculous it is. It was never okay to steal people's land. It was never okay to herald people just because they made a certain amount. It was never okay to discard of human life just because they couldn't contribute. These were lies. You measuring a person's contribution and then turning around and saying you're a person of God who believes that Jesus is the way. Jesus taught you in those words, if you were paying attention, if you didn't discard of certain concepts that he provided you, you would understand why I'm doing what it is that ultimately he wants me to do when saying I'm not rolling with Israel on any of this. They can't receive enough power. There isn't enough propaganda in the world that can supersede that for which I understand, which is that making children suffer for any reason isn't right. I'm not waiting for someone to teach me that. I'm not waiting for that to be in a book. I'm not waiting for that to be in a chant that is said every day as I put my hand over my heart. I'm not interested in how many people died to uphold that, and their suffering and their sacrifice rather would be a waste if we start to adapt to these ideals. The ideals that children shouldn't be killed is something that I think is worth all of their lives. It's worth mine. It's worth all their sacrifice. It's worth all their blood, sweat, and tears. It's worth all their strategy, all the sleepless night, all the most uncomfortable times that they went through trying to uphold what it is that we are. The notion that I have a right to speak against genocide is worth all of it. All of it. And I'm not waiting for nobody to teach me that. Children to be protected, their innocence respected. And if there's an entity out there that wants to do away with that, then every grown person has a responsibility to stand against that. And if you don't respect or approve of that, for which is your responsibility, then regardless of what I think of it, children will suffer. And as children suffer comes a generation that is more sick than the one we've lived, hopeless and lacking the compassion than the one we engage in right now. More likely to do away with us as we grow older and are not able to take care of ourselves. Do away with what it is that we put together. Discard of what it is that we're building because of the resentment that's built upon the discarding of their childhood innocence. This is what I know. A lot of y'all building empires are going to be thrown away by the people you handed to because they ain't going to care nothing about you because you didn't care nothing about the kids. That's the part a lot of you can't see. A lot of what it is that you're building over 40 and 50 years is going to be discarded of in a couple of weeks. And it's going to be because you didn't care about nothing while you were building what it is you were building, but what would ultimately make you look good so that you could uphold it. So I'm trying to tell all of y'all. Y'all standing next to Israel, buying off of Israel, aligning with Israel, aligning with the Zionists. We're telling you, we're showing you, we're alluding to how this is going to be spoken of going forward. We're going to continue speaking, we're going to continue influencing, and ultimately we're going to continue inspiring people to do their own homework. Not just listen to us and walk away thinking that we've told the truth. But look at what it is that we've looked at, because it's still there for you to see. I felt for the lady that was burning in NYC on the subway, but I had already seen a couple dead burning people leading up to that point. So she wasn't even the first person I saw on fire in the last few months. She's probably the third. I saw homeboy who was on fire with an IV in his arm. I watched him burn. So seeing her burn was just yet another human being burning. I feel any more or less for her than him? No. No. Both of these individuals were discarded of by their own country or discarded of by America. She just happened to be Caucasian on the subway. The other man happened to be Palestinian in a tent. It's the same neglect. It's the same indifference that everybody's so exhausted with. People saying, I can't believe the cop walked by the killer and didn't do anything. It's the same thing that's a metaphor for everything that we've been watching as we've been saying Free Palestine for as long as we have. Y'all been doing that the whole time. What's another one of those episodes? It's the same thing. That's an elaborate metaphor for how we've been acting in regards to the Palestinians. Now everybody's up in arms because there's a woman from our country. A white woman from our country. Now it's like, where's the humanity? Why didn't anybody stop for her? Because that's how y'all are. That's what you always do. The hell? But because she matters, not in a performative way, so to speak, but in the actual she's white, so she's right kind of way. Now, when people walk by her burning on a subway train on American soil, it's the worst thing in the freaking world. Like, man, she's just another burning person that y'all didn't give a damn about. And I'm not into conspiracy theories too much, but I do wonder what the hell I was looking at. I will say that. That didn't look normal to me. Obviously, there's nothing normal about a person burning on a subway, but like, she was on fire. She wasn't rolling. She was just standing there, and you thought she was dead because half her body was literally engulfed in flames and smoldering. But like, she kept moving, stepping one forward, step foot backward. Like, I'm like, what am I actually seeing? I wasn't really able to rationalize the image itself. You set me on fire and I'm rolling. I'm on the floor rolling. I'm screaming. I'm moving fast. She was like as if she was drugged severely. But I would think that even if you're drugged severely, once that hot hits your ass, you're going to start moving with a little bit of urgency. She was burning like a tree. It seemed a little strange to me. Performative even. MK Ultra type. What the hell is really going on here? I think about Aaron Bushnell. Saw him burning. Saw that lady burning. Saw the dude with the IV burning. Like, I'm telling y'all, this is not new. Like, there's nothing new about the image there. That's essentially what I'm here to tell you. Over the last year, we've seen people burning, and people didn't care. It's just like when the dude that got shot, that everybody wants to say is like the worst thing in the world. What's his name? I don't know the dude's name, but the insurance guy that ultimately CEO got smoked by Luigi or whatever. They want to say like that's the, oh my God, where's the humanity? Why are people so surprised? Like, this is so ridiculous. Oh yeah, but like, I've seen some dead people that morning, some kids that nobody seemed to give a damn about. I'm supposed to draw my line in my humanity for him? Like, oh my God, he's an American, he's rich. We must put an end to this terrorizing of this individual. It's like, but you didn't give a damn about them 6 kids I saw this morning. Or the 7,000 kids I saw over the past 440 days, whatever it's been. Now I'm supposed to look at him, and that part of my brain that doesn't like seeing people die just turns on, just like, oh my God, it's him. Like, what kind of psychosis are you under if that's how you're moving? What has been done to your brains? Honestly. If you're capable of hearing me, and you're not under some deep hypnosis, you need to understand how unnatural that actually is. It's deeply unnatural, man. Deeply unnatural. And that's what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if everybody's under some deep hypnosis. Like they've done some psychological, process on people's brains in this country. It makes a lot more sense than what it is I'm looking at. You think of the idea of hypnosis, a person gets you under hypnosis, so to speak, and then triggers you into awakenness at random. Like, that more so speaks to what it is that I see around me as it pertains to the genocide and the indifference pointed at people of color and all. It's like, y'all are under some type of hypnosis, some spell, where you only snap out of it when you see certain types of individuals going through hell. Is he a CEO? How much money you make? Is a billionaire? Oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. Who is it? Is it a Palestinian kid, brown? How much money they got? Not so much, right? Israel hates them? What's for dinner? Like, what type of psychosis? Like, what has been done to you, you must ask? If you're capable of self-awareness and a reflection upon one's own image, reflection upon one's own reflection. As you look in the mirror and see the individual staring back at you who thinks this way, one has to wonder why you care when you see it over there, but not over there, there, and there. Maybe that's just what my brain does, because yours is incapable of that based on the hypnosis you're under. I wonder. And so as I look at layers and layers of indifference and the being outraged at indifference, I just say God is watching all of this and just saying, look at them go. Selective humanity all through their generation. Look at them go. They're so outraged. Look at the white woman on fire. Boy, that's a horrible thing. But a white man sets himself on fire in the name of genocide because he can't stand what it is that he ultimately was doing. Since he was a service person, he couldn't stand the idea of what it is that he ultimately upheld. Now it's like, oh man, some dude died over there by the hotel, set himself on fire, we're not sure why. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is what it is. And I want everybody who's not yet alive, who's not going to be under the hypnosis of the people alive today, to understand this is exactly what it is we're experiencing here. It's like a deep hypnosis / dystopia. Something happened to the brains of the people alive today, I believe. I'm starting to get to a point where it's like, I think something happened to these. I think they did something to us. During one of these damn Super Bowls, during one of these damn holiday specials that probably had the most ratings, they put people under a spell, man. Some type of hypnosis. Or layers of hypnosis on one of these shows that we kept on watching. And during our sports channels or something. Something in these commercials was training us to selectively point our compassion in different directions. And I'm not saying that because I'm certain of it. I'm saying that because that's what the evidence is showing me. The American mind must be entertained by something. And if you want to capture everybody, you got to find that something that they're all paying attention to. Was it the Super Bowl? Was it a holiday Christmas special? Was it an award show or a series of award shows with different subliminal messages planted in strategic spots to help us be rocked to sleep by the idea that certain things matter and other things do not? It's my theory. Maybe it was a movie we all saw, one of our favorites. Maybe it was our children's specials. Every Saturday morning, every third commercial was suggesting to us something that otherwise made all of this what it is. We were raised within the idea of certain ideals based on that type of embedded, repeated propaganda upon our edge, or whatever the word would be. Like, I would imagine something like that. That makes us look at dead babies and say, well, are they brown? Were they from rich families? Are they white? No? Yes? 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 Come on, let me know so I can give a shit. I'm not certain if I should until I know this. And as a person of God who meditates, as a person of God who thinks for himself, who's creative and gifted in intellectual thinking, I just look around and say, I don't think that shit worked on me, man. I don't think it worked. Because I'm totally not doing that with my humanity. I'm totally not looking at some people and saying, let's see what they do and let's see what they got. Let's see if that makes sense to care about them or not. Yeah, it's a baby, but whose family is it from? Do they wear little hats? No? Are they patriots? Whites? No? Oh, I don't give a shit. Yes? Oh, this is outrageous. I'm not wired like that. I was never wired that way. That algorithm didn't work on me. You should have tried something else on a brain like this. Y'all need to do a different rhythm on my scroll. So that's pretty much what I gotta say, man. I'm sorry that I had to be so crass in this video. But the truth of the matter is, I am somewhat desensitized by certain things, and my humanity is still pointed at the people who are ultimately suffering the ills of the people who ultimately call themselves victims. I really care that they stop suffering, like literally. I would really love to see a world where people who are going through genocide, who Israel is trying to step on to build their little high heel shoe or whatever the hell they want to do there with the greater Israel is fake, whatever you call it. Whatever they're trying to do there, the way that they're going about it, it's against my spirit. I don't like it. And I'm not rocked to sleep by the hypnosis of trusting them as they do it, or trusting the people who are telling me to trust them as they do it, or having my ego wrapped up in believing that I should continue trusting people I've been trusting for the whole time of my life, as they continue to be warped and teach us the ways of the warped. I'm just not rolling. I never was rolling. I believed in Christ. Christ taught me compassion. He didn't teach me capitalism. He didn't tell me that the people of his religion, the Jews, because, Christ is a Jew, an actual Semite, were above reproach. He never said that. That's not what he taught me through his word. None of that. He told me to stand firm on the idea that you never hurt any of his little ones. People who call themselves Jews are hurting his little ones in his hometown. And everybody seems to be fine with it because, well, they wear little hats and they own everything. And Israel's really nice when you go there. If you stay away from that threshold from which the hell is taking place to the Palestinians, and you only look to the left, turn yourself completely away from the right, and only look to the left, so to speak, you're going to see a beautiful place, wonderful weather, and whatever else you're experiencing there that makes you feel so excited. I don't know. I hear they have beautiful jewelry. They have great food. Even though all of those recipes have been stolen from the people they've pillaged and tortured. Everything they have is essentially from somewhere else. Everything they claim is theirs, they essentially stole from somebody else. Just like white supremacy does. Remember that. Rock and roll. Well, they steal it off from somebody else. I'm not godless. God is not fine with us torturing some people so we can uphold our right to be comfortable, fam. That is not what Jesus taught us. He did not tell us to align with the structure of the world and the laws around us in such a way that allows for certain people to be treated poorly while other people sit back and be fine with it. That ain't what he taught us. That I'm some type of goy that's not supposed to be respected. Man, I'm supposed to adhere to those who don't respect me because they own every damn thing. And I'm supposed to trust them because they named themselves the Jews and named the land they stole, Israel, as to spark some sense of loyalty toward them that I would have toward my Bible. I'm not rolling. I'm not buying that. It's literally silly to buy that in real life. And so that's what I want people to understand, man. I don't really care about what they own or what they can do or what they have done or what they intend to do after they finish doing what it is they're doing. I'm not literally any interested in any of that. From where I'm from and the walk of life I'm in, for the choices that I look to respect and the upholdings of the teachings of the Christ that I serve, I really don't believe that I'm supposed to adhere to that, regardless if everybody else is or not. That's what I want people to understand. I was taught very firmly, very clearly, in a language that I very much understood, that regardless of who upholds it, regardless of why, is something that I'm supposed to speak out against And that's really it. I don't know what hypnosis people are under, or what it is they've allowed to happen to them, what it is that ultimately they've taught and can't overcome. I'm not hurt by those mental gymnastics. I wasn't rocked to sleep by the training. A lot of y'all went to school. Maybe that's where all that came from when you were going to high school and junior high school and elementary school. They were embedding your head with all of this hypnosis. I don't know. I didn't go to school enough for them to do that to my brain. It didn't work on me. That's probably why. That's probably why I rejected school so much, because they were putting this crap in our heads and make us adhere to the idea that we're under the Jew. Supposed to hate the Arab. Like, I don't know, man. I didn't buy that. I didn't care about none of that, bro. I was very much in a different mindset growing up that led to the space where I could say, man, Israel's bad. And everybody who upholds their interests is bad. And that killing little kids because you think they're going to grow up to be terrorists is bad. And killing the people who don't appreciate that and want to raise awareness about it is bad. It is what it is. BBF 44. I thank you all for watching.